Hi, my name is Yarrow and I'm one of the co-founders of InboxDone. Today I'm going to take you through this video all about our handover process. The handover is what you experience as a new client of InboxDone, and it's really helpful because you will learn what you're going to go through, how much time we need from you, and what we do and why we do it. As you'll hear in this video, there are quite a few steps that really help us reach the point where we can essentially clone you and take over a lot of certainly your email, possibly scheduling your calendar, your meetings, and also other tasks you might choose to delegate to us immediately or in the near future. If you have any questions that surface as you're watching this video, please save them and bring them to your discovery call, which you've possibly already booked or you will book after watching this video. That discovery call is really the step one to become a client with us, and it's your chance to ask those questions. It's also an opportunity for us to learn more about you, what you do, what's your business or your occupation, and most importantly, all the tasks that you're going to hand over to our assistants. And hopefully you'll be very excited to sign up with us, and that's also when you can begin and become a client of InboxDone, which actually begins the handover process. So let's dive into what that is. The handover is triggered once you sign up as a client. So the first thing you're going to do is enter your credit card into our checkout. You're going to make your standard plan payment. All new clients start on our standard plan. You can see the prices on our pricing page on our website. That standard plan payment covers everything we do in the handover, which really is two phases. We have a matching phase and then the actual working with your two assistants to hand over the task to them over a 30-day or more period. Don't worry, with that first payment, you can always change your subscription from the second payment onward. And please note the second payment comes after you've done the matching and the handover experience, which could take up to 8 weeks. So you may not pay your second payment until 2 months later. So bear that in mind. It will be possibly 2 months before you will be charged again. And of course, we will have a conversation with you before that happens to figure out the best plan for you to continue on once we've actually completed this handover process with you. So you've signed up, you've made payment, you book in an onboarding call with our onboarding manager. You show up to that call. The main purpose of that call is for you to show us inside your inbox by doing a screen share. You can talk a little about the software and tools you might use, anything unique to the situation you're in that you need to pass on to us. We will have some other questions just to learn more about you. The main purpose of this onboarding call is to begin the matching process within our company. So we don't actually need you for the matching process. Once you've done your onboarding call, you can basically sit back, relax, and let us go and find the best two assistants from our team to match you with. Now, in terms of criteria for that matching, we look for some simple things like time zone compatibility. So by default, we do 2 check-ins per day. What does that mean? Well, it means your assistants are going to check in twice a day and clear your inbox, do any associated tasks, communicate anything they need to pass on to you, possibly schedule any meetings or any kind of information that needs to be added to a meeting. All of that will be done. They will log off, and then that will happen again in a second check-in later in the day. Typically, for most of our clients, the 2 check-ins happen, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So you're basically getting down to inbox 0 twice per day. And this works for most of our clients. It is possible to have a third check-in and do some other things around check-ins, but we recommend you start with 2, experience it. And like I said, for most of our clients, that works really well. So we look for matching around check-in times. We also look for matching criteria around simple things like perhaps we have some assistants on our team that have used the software that you currently use. Maybe they're interested in the industry that you work in or have some kind of past experience. There's all kinds of other intangible criteria that might make them a good fit. And bear in mind, we're trying to do 2-way matching here. So as much as we're trying to find the best 2 assistants for you, we're also making sure our assistants are excited to work with you because we want to aim for long-term relationships. So this is a situation where it is 2-way matching. Our assistants are going to learn about you. They'll possibly listen to your discovery call most likely listen to your onboarding call. Certainly they're going to investigate what you do, your business, your website, just to get a feel, because they're joining you in a fairly personal relationship. Obviously, someone who's answering your email, they're going to learn a lot about you. They're going to work closely with you. They're going to really discover a lot about you and your business. So they want to be excited and committed to that. And that's the reason we do this matching process, for a really great two-way fit for hopefully a long-term relationship. Now, you may have seen on our website that we have 2 assistants per client, which is actually quite unique to our company. The reason we do this is for redundancy. So if you've ever worked with virtual staff, maybe a virtual assistant from a site like Upwork or Freelancer, or maybe you've hired another agency, you possibly have had that very unfortunate experience where you've spent time hiring someone, then possibly a month or 2 or 3 training them, and then a month later they disappear on you and you're basically back to square one. Very frustrating, but unfortunately very common in the world of virtual assistants. We assign you 2 assistants who both go through this entire handover process to learn everything they need to know to do the role. And that's important because if one of those assistants need a holiday or are sick, so they need some time off, the other one can fill in the gap. So you're not left with doing your email all by yourself again. And if there is a retirement or a career change or another reason why we need to replace one of those assistants, the one who's staying can continue to work. So you don't have to, again, go back to doing it all yourself. And they can also help onboard the replacement assistant. So the whole purpose here is to offer backup, redundancy, and minimize disruption of the service to you. Obviously, nothing is perfect, but we find this 2-assistant system has worked really well for us now that we've had it for a number of years in place. So we're going to match you with 2 assistants. Now, bear in mind, there is a 2 to 4 week process of matching. So you're not actually going to meet your assistants for up to 2 to 4 weeks after you've done that onboarding call. So just bear in mind, there is a waiting time. As I said, we don't need you for that process. We will update you as it's going along. And at some point, we will let you know your assistants are matched, they're ready to meet you, and we will schedule an introduction call with you. So on the intro call, you show up, you meet your assistants, you get to know them. They're going to ask you how you want to be communicated with. So are you using some kind of internal chat tool like Slack or Microsoft Teams? Maybe you like WhatsApp, possibly just a good old-fashioned text message, maybe a phone call. Whatever method of communication you possibly use now, they will know to communicate with you that way. They'll also ask you, what do you want to be communicated about? So do you want maybe a daily recap or a summary pushed to a Slack message? Perhaps you just want emergency messages, and the rest of the time you don't want to be communicated with. Every client's different. Every person wants, unique information. Maybe you want curated information like certain email newsletters or other kind of information passed to you on a weekly basis. All of that can be figured out with your assistants, and obviously all of it can be changed over time as well. So most importantly though, your assistants do want to know what are emergency situations and how do you want to be informed about them. Possible emergency situations could be a really big client contract is possibly falling through, or maybe the other way around, a really big contract wants to sign up. Some of our clients have family situations, maybe a spouse or children, there's a situation there that you need to be told about in a hurry. So we need to know for these kind of situations, what do we do? Do we send you a text? Is there some other way to get in touch with you? Obviously, it's not going to be common, but it is good to know what to do in an emergency. So once your assistants know how to communicate with you, they've met you, you've had that introduction, they're going to switch to a learning mode. So what they do is they dive in and study whatever resources you have. Maybe it's your website, maybe it's your existing sales materials, maybe you have products that you sell that they can look at, they can study. Anything you have, perhaps an email newsletter or email sequence. But really, the best learning happens inside your inbox, especially your sent folder. So your assistants are going to go into your sent folder. They're going to look at how you write emails, what's your tone, what's your style, who do you communicate with on a regular basis, What are the common situations you face in your inbox? And this is really great learning. This is where they can learn the most about what it takes to actually answer emails for you. So they're going to spend a bit of time studying those. While they do this, they also like to set up what we call a knowledge base. So first thing they do is just understand, how do you manage your email now? And do you have any systems in place? So for example, do you have any folders, any labels, any reminders or automatic redirects, templates, SOPs, standard operating procedures? What is set up in your inbox right now? Some people have lots of folders and all kinds of things set up. Some people have nothing. So we just learn what you have. And then more often than not, we bring in some sort of system of our own. We like to make things more efficient if possible. Usually that means creating or reducing the number of folders to what we think we actually need. Possibly also creating some kind of automatic redirects, maybe reminder triggers if necessary. And almost always we love to create templates. Templates are great because they allow us to answer questions or pass on common information without having to write it from scratch. But we're not robots, so we're not going to just copy and paste template default answers like you often get from really bad customer service online. So we're going to dynamically adjust the email to reply to the person, but having that template will definitely speed us up. And we also do SOPs where necessary. So SOPs, standard operating procedures, they're basically a Google Doc or a Word doc, or it could be in Notion or other text-based tool. And what we do is we basically create a guide on how to complete a process that might be more than just answering an email. So a common example of that is you get a new customer signing up, and that triggers a bunch of tasks. So the email arrives, you've made a sale, and then you have to send back some kind of welcome pack information. You might need to update a CRM or a task management or a project management software tool. Perhaps you need to inform another team member to schedule like an onboarding call or a welcome call. Maybe the accounting department needs to know to issue an invoice or a receipt. So there's all these steps that need to be completed. And what we do is we create this document, possibly with some screenshots, just to really document how to do a process that has multiple steps. Now we do this for our own purposes, so we can always go back to those guides if we need to. We can train new assistants on those guides as well if that becomes necessary. And you get to keep these. So even if you stop working with InboxDone, any of the systems we set up, any of the SOPs we create for you, they're all yours to keep and obviously use. And if you ever come across something where you want an SOP made for you, you're most welcome to just ask your assistants and say, hey, we have this process. Would you mind creating an SOP around what we do there? And they're more than happy to do that for you. During this learning phase, your assistants will also take over or adopt any of the software you currently use for any of the tasks that you do and that you're going to hand over to them. That might be task management tools, CRMs, HubSpot, Salesforce, ClickUp, Monday, Asana. Could be something unique to your business. We have lawyers and doctor clients who have HIPAA compliant software, so we can integrate with that. Of course, you're welcome to pass on things like this at whatever phase you're comfortable with. If you want us to maybe do part of it to begin with, and then more as you gain trust and become comfortable with your assistants, that's totally fine. And I will talk a little bit more later on in this video regarding privacy and security. Okay, so once we've made it through this learning phase, it might take a week, it might take two, we eventually hit the most important step in this handover process. It's the drafting phase. This is the phase where we do need your time and your attention. It could be half an hour a day or maybe 45 minutes every second day. What we're doing is your assistants are going through a process to actually reply to your emails. So of course, we don't want to just jump in and start randomly replying to your emails. We want to make sure you're comfortable, the assistants are comfortable, and that's why we do drafts first. So what your assistants will do is they'll start writing these replies to your emails. They'll save them as a draft. They'll ask you to review them, give any feedback, any changes. Is the tone right? Is the style right? Have we given the right information to answer the question? And then you will send the email, and that will just keep happening. So we'll keep writing drafts. You will keep reviewing them, giving feedback, and then sending them. up to the point where you will say, you know what, the drafts, they're great. I don't need to review them anymore. You can send them without me needing to look at them. Now, of course, you can do this in phases. So you might be very happy to let us take over the more common or more simple emails to answer straight away. But perhaps the more dynamic or complex emails, you might want us to draft them for a little longer so you can make sure 100% you feel comfortable with us dealing with those situations, and possibly just to give us enough time to learn enough to answer the more dynamic and complex questions, because naturally we get better the longer you work with us. The more situations we faced within your inbox, the better we are at understanding the context of everything going on. Therefore, the better email answers we can give. Bear in mind, there's probably going to always be 5%, 2%, 8%, every client's different, of emails that we will always need your input on some level from, because there is just something we can't figure out without you. A simple example of that, someone might have said, hey, they met you at a conference and you promised to send them a copy of your book. We obviously don't know if that's true. So if they emailed us with that claim, we would have to send you a message and ask, hey, is this person real? Should we send them that book? Hopefully, though, that's a very minor amount of situations, and we can take over 80, 85, 90, 95% of your emails and reply to them without even needing to talk to you at all, without you needing to look at the draft, and just basically make your life a whole lot simpler. Of course, though, you are welcome to take this process as long as you need. So if you always want us to draft certain situations, you tell us. And if it takes a little longer for you to get comfortable, that's fine too. Our goal is to take over as much as we can, as quickly as possible, but we're totally fine working at whatever pace you're comfortable with. Note, you can always check the sent folder to see how your assistants are replying to your emails. I was actually the very, very first client for InboxDone, or at least the idea of what InboxDone is, over a decade ago. And I remember when I was handing over my email to my assistants, I was, comfortable with a lot of the emails straight away, but there were always a few that I wanted to just check to see how they were replying, were they giving the information I want them to send. And this was important to me because my business at the time, I was having them write sales follow-ups, basically lead nurturing type emails. And I was concerned if they didn't do those emails well, I'd basically lose customers. So I would check and see how they were replying to these customer questions. And actually, I became quite amazed over time, especially as month 2, month 3, month 4 progressed. They became better at answering those emails than me, because I used to be rushed. A typical entrepreneur, I didn't have enough time to write a deep, thorough answer to every email or every question that came into my inbox. But because my assistants were doing this task, and that is their main task, they were able to be very thoughtful and thorough when answering those potential sale questions from potential customers. So I became, very happy to see their answers that were better than mine in that case. So that wraps up the drafting phase and typically ends the first 30 days and the handover process as well. Now, this may take longer. Every client's different. Every situation is different. It depends how complex your business is, your email is. There may be things we're still learning in month 2 and month 3 and onwards, but usually we get to a point within the first 30 days where we've taken over replying to a fairly large chunk of your emails, and you really feel the impact. Obviously, as more time goes by, we can take over more and you'll feel even more and more impact and have more and more time back available for you to do whatever you'd like with. Once we complete the handover, we will then be in a position to know how much time it takes to do all the work we're doing for you, answering all those emails, and therefore which pricing plan to put you on from the second payment onwards and each month after that. Most of our clients stay on the standard plan. That tends to be a good amount of hours to handle all the work. However, if we're not doing much work for you, maybe you don't have many emails or they're simple, there's not many other tasks we're doing for you, then we can drop you to a lower price plan, or you can delegate more work to us and stay on the standard plan. Or it could be the other way around, where you have a very busy inbox, we're doing a lot of tasks or very complex tasks for you. We might need to upgrade you to a higher price plan to keep doing everything from the second month onwards. or you tell us not to do certain tasks and you stay within the standard plan range. Bear in mind, we have no long-term contracts. Our payment plans are always month to month. You can upgrade or downgrade anytime. Just let us know in advance. If, for example, maybe you have a quiet period during summer or winter, we can downgrade your plan during that time. Or you have a busy period coming up. Maybe you have a launch phase or you're starting a new company. We can expand your plan. Again, just give us notice, and we can even add a third assistant to your team if necessary to provide the coverage needed for the extra work. Or you might even want to go as far as having us take over the email and help with calendar scheduling tasks of perhaps your co-founder or the leadership team in your company, in which case we can go through basically a whole new handover process, assign 2 new assistants, and expand into supporting your team to whatever extent you need us to help. So we can assign 2 more, 4 more, you can do it gradually. Just give us enough time and we can help you go through that process and help you and your entire company. Okay, we're on the home stretch now with this handover process. Just a couple more points. First of all, around privacy and how we access your software and tools. So typically with email, you might be a Gmail user or Outlook. You might have additional apps like Superhuman or Front, things like that, that you're answering your emails with. We can integrate with those, possibly using the delegate function that some of those tools like Gmail has, which allows you to basically delegate access and give us basically a second email account that's sharing your current email, and the assistants will go in using that. Or more commonly, we also will access your email using something like LastPass or 1Password or Bitwarden, essentially password sharing tools where you give us the ability to use your password and username, but we don't actually see your password, but we log in as you. So to clarify, we're typically going into your email account and we're answering emails in there, but we're not pretending to be you. So we're not writing as if it's you replying. We're replying. Your assistants are part of your team. They have a name, they have an email alias, they have a signature. So when a person receives a reply, it comes from Jane at your company with the signature Jane, your executive assistant or your email manager, whatever title you want to give them. And often they have their own email alias, even though that email redirects into the same inbox that you use. There are a few situations where we have written emails on behalf of and basically pretend to be you. If that's something you need, we can do that. Obviously, there's a little bit of a risk there. We are essentially pretending to be you. You're sending emails, but not being the person who writes them. The person receiving the email thinks it's coming from you. So we prefer not to do that unless it's absolutely necessary. There are other ways to do this, though. Of course, we will look at your situation. What's the best setup? Maybe we'll create a brand new receptionist inbox. We'll direct your emails in there, and that's where we will work, and you will maintain some kind of private inbox where only a few key emails will go to you. The rest we will handle in that receptionist inbox. Typically, though, most of our clients are in the same inbox where we're working. You might have a folder and you have a very small percentage of the emails that go to you there, and your assistants handle everything else within that inbox. So they're really the ones using it far more than you are. For other software, so beyond email, you might use a password sharing tool to give us access, or you might just give us a user account. Like for example, if it's Slack or Microsoft Teams, you might just create an account for them on either of those tools, and they use it like a user, like any other team member in your company. They're essentially the same thing, a team member in your company using those softwares and tools. Bear in mind, some of our clients need some kind of NDA or there's some kind of confidential information. We are happy to have the assistants review your NDA and sign it. There is an NDA built into our terms of service. So when you do sign up as a client, you are agreeing to that terms of service, and you're welcome to read that, and you'll find the NDA in there as well. Of course, it's a generic one. So if there is something needed specific to your situation, that's when it's a good time to get a specific NDA that our team can sign. In terms of other tools, sometimes we will use something like a DocSend, which will allow us to control who can view attachments. All of our team members have a VPN on their machine, so they're a little extra protected when they're accessing your tools. And typically we're going through cloud-based interfaces. So we're not downloading anything onto our machines. We're just logging into your Gmail, which is on a cloud. We're logging into whatever it is, your Slack, your Asana, your other CRM, that doesn't require us to download any software or any of your data to store locally. It's us just accessing it through the cloud. So there's a layer of protection there, but we are happy to basically do whatever you might need us to do that's unique to your situation. For example, often with our academic clients, we have to go through some kind of protocol with your IT, your technology department, in order to set up accounts or maybe sign some kind of documentation first. Every client's different, but we're happy to work our way through those situations with you as needed, as well as any unique security or privacy situations. We're happy to learn about it, figure out the best way with your input to solve that situation. It could be technology that helps us do that. It could be just us creating a few different steps or separating content so only you see some things and we see other content, which is common with, for example, our doctor clients, where we do have to segregate the medical information so only they see them or only they see that information, and we deal with everything else inside our own separate inbox. And lastly, our hiring and training process. So InboxDone is almost 7 years old at the time I'm recording this video, so probably older than that by the time you're watching this. And we've spent a lot of that time really developing and evolving our hiring and training process. That's what we are. We're a hiring and training company. We're always doing that behind the scenes, looking for great talent, testing them, vetting them, interviewing them, and then taking them through training before they actually work with the client. So we have a 10-step process with our hiring and training. It has what you'd expect. We're doing interviews, we're doing background checks, we're doing testing. Some of it's quite unique though. We're testing for skills in particular around answering emails. So we present situations in emails that are dynamic, that are not simple to answer, and see how the applicants deal with those situations. This really helps us test their problem solving, their ability to think independently, communicate well with written English, all skills we look for in our applicants to hire to our team. Plus we interview throughout this hiring process as well, ending with a final interview with my co-founder of the company. Once they make it through all of that, there's also an internal training course that they go through. It's a 10-hour program created by my co-founder, and it teaches how to do the role of being a great email assistant, but also how to communicate well with the client. This is actually great advice for you as well. Communication is key. So between you and the two assistants, being open, setting expectations, really talking about what you want, how to do certain tasks. If there's problems, to talk about them, pass on any feedback. Your assistants are going to do the same. If they get stuck, they're going to need input. They are going to ask. Obviously, we hire and train for independent problem solving, but there is a learning phase, and usually it happens through that handover process I just explained to you. So if you're clear and communicating your needs, they're going to do the same. That's going to lead to the best outcome for everyone, and that's very much what our course also helps to teach them before they start working with the client. So that ends this presentation. You now know about our matching process, which takes 2 to 4 weeks. Then the actual handover, where you spend the first month, the 30 days, working with your two assistants, plus a little bit about how we access your software, protect confidential information, your privacy, and what our hiring and training process is like. Bear in mind, our team, this is a choice we made when we started the company. We do not hire low-cost overseas labor. You might have seen this on our website. Most of our team are Canadian or American born and raised and educated. We really look for that high-level written native English ability, and that's just something we think is necessary for handling emails. We do have some team members who live overseas. They could be expats enjoying life in different parts of the world. We also have some team members who are helping out in other time zones. So they might be, in Bali working for our Australian clients, but pretty much if they've made it through our hiring and training process, they are very much top of the class when it comes to communication and independent thinking, problem solving, emotional empathy, attention to detail, all the things you want in someone who's going to answer your emails. Okay, that's it from me. I hope this video has helped clarify what it's like to work with us and also what will happen once you become a client, how much time we might need from you. Bear in mind, most of what I just explained happens without you. It's really just that email drafting process and answering any questions that we just can't figure out with what we see already inside your inbox where we will need your help. So hopefully there won't be too much back and forth, but we do need some of your time. We can't progress without your feedback to make it through the email drafting, and then we can work more independently. And of course, we get better in time. The longer you work with us, the more context, the more comfortable we are. You're also more comfortable with us. You know how to communicate. There's a good flow, a good rhythm, and you might even decide to start handing over more tasks to your assistant. Okay, that's it from me. You might be seeing me on your discovery call if that's coming up, or if you haven't booked one, make sure you head to the website and book your discovery call. My name is Yarrow, and I'll talk to you very soon.